Arthur Brooks warns that success has a hidden precedes. Most high achievers discover it too late. This is the striver's curse. Imagine you have spent your entire life sprinting toward a distant, glittering summit. You have sacrificed, innovated, and outpaced your peers, only to reach the peak and find not a sense of triumph, but a creeping, cold shadow. The air is thin, the view is isolating, and the only path forward seems to lead downward. This disorienting, quiet despair is what Harvard professor and social scientist Arthur Brooks calls the striver's curse. It is the hidden agony of the high achiever, the terrifying realization that your inevitable decline is not a distant threat, but a process that has already begun, rendering past victories hollow and future ones fleeting. This curse manifests in a soul-deep dissatisfaction. The drive that once propelled you now feels like a cage. Your success becomes unsatisfying as each new win is measured against the impossible standard of your past peak. Your relationships feel lacking because they were often forged in the furnace of ambition, not the quiet soil of mutual vulnerability. The very strategy of trying to keep it going, to outrun the natural arc of a human life is, as Brooks argues, a direct path to misery. It is a race you are biologically destined to lose. But within this harsh truth lies a liberating invitation to stop running the old race and discover an entirely new terrain. The inevitability of decline and the two intelligences, the first step out of the curse is radical acceptance of a non-negotiable reality. In nearly every high-skilled profession, from theoretical physics to elite athletics to executive leadership, a decline in raw. Peak performance typically sets in between our late 30s and early 50s. This isn't a failure of character, it's a feature of human neurology. For those who have built their entire identity on being the best, this professional and mental transition feels like a loss of self. We find ourselves trapped on a hedonic treadmill, needing ever greater successes just to avoid feeling worse, effectively becoming addicted to the fading echoes of our past glory. This decline, however, is only one half of the story. Brooks illuminates a crucial biological shift by distinguishing between two types of intelligence. In our youth, we are powered by fluid intelligence, the raw, blazing ability to reason, think flexibly, connect disparate ideas, and solve novel, abstract problems. It is the engine of the innovator, the prodigy, and the disruptor. Yet, like a supernova, it burns brightest and fastest, diminishing noticeably starting in our 30s and 40s. This is why younger minds often dominate fields requiring radical innovation. But as this brilliant fire begins to bank, another, more enduring light starts to glow with greater intensity: crystallized intelligence. This is not about speed or novelty, but depth and synthesis. It is the ability to use a vast, accumulated stock of knowledge to weave complex ideas into coherent wisdom, to recognize patterns across decades, and to interpret the world with seasoned judgment. While the young are masters of generating facts, the experienced become masters of understanding what those facts mean and how to use them. This form of intelligence increases through our 40s, 50s, and 60s, often remaining robust late into life. The strategic leap from the curve of innovation to the curve of instruction, understanding this shift, is the master key. The secret to a flourishing second half of life is not to desperately cling to your fading fluid intelligence, but to make an intentional strategic leap from the curve of innovation to the curve of instruction. This is a conscious redesign of your vocation and identity. It means moving away from the exhausting need to be the prodigy and toward the generative role of the mentor, the advisor, the teacher, and the sage. You are not retiring from the field. You are evolving into a modern elder whose value lies not in what you can do alone, but in what you can empower others to see and accomplish. This role rewards crystallized intelligence directly. Your hard-won experience, your knowledge of pitfalls, your network of connections, and your ability to synthesize the big picture become your new currency. In this space, your perceived decline in raw output transforms into an ascent in influence, meaning, and legacy. The internal renovation, happiness, desire, and the roots of connection shifting your external role requires a parallel internal renovation. Our culture operates on a faulty formula for happiness, that satisfaction comes from adding more money, more accolades, more power, till we die. Brooks offers a simple, powerful equation that reveals the flaw. Satisfaction equals what you have, divided by what you want. Most of us spend our lives frantically trying to increase the numerator, only to find that our desires, the denominator, grow even faster, leaving us perpetually in a state of lack. The solution, then, is not to acquire more, but to want differently. Brooks suggests the practice of a reverse bucket list. Instead of adding desires, you actively list and then mentally release the attachments that no longer serve you, the craving for a certain title, the envy of a rival's success, the material possession you believe will complete you. This is the work of a sculptor, not a pack rat, chipping away at the jade boulder of worldly desires to reveal the true, essential form of your why within. This process demands a fundamental goal realignment. We must consciously move from extrinsic goals, wealth, fame, power, to intrinsic goals, deep relationships, personal growth, community contribution. Only intrinsic goals provide the durable fulfillment needed for the second curve, which is inherently relational. It is about sharing your wisdom, not hoarding your trophies. Here, we encounter the most profound and challenging requirement: strategic vulnerability in the world of striving. We are taught to armor ourselves in strength, to hide our doubts and flaws, but Brooks reveals a counterintuitive truth. Your polished strengths and worldly success can be a barrier to deep human connection. They create distance, pedestals, and transactions. To truly connect, to mentor authentically, to love openly, to build a root system of relationships, you need your weaknesses. It is your shared humanity, your stories of failure, your honest uncertainties that forge bonds of trust and empathy. Sharing your weakness without shame is not a sign of decline. It is a superpower of the second half of life. It is the opposite of what you were taught, and it is the gateway to the love and connection that ultimately sustain us. The urgency of connection and the adventure ahead. The stakes of this transition are not merely philosophical, they are physiological. Decades of longitudinal research, like the famed Harvard study of adult development, deliver an unambiguous finding. The single most important predictor of health, happiness, and life satisfaction at age 80 is the quality of your relationships at age 50. Loneliness is a silent epidemic with metabolic consequences, comparable in damage to smoking 15 cigarettes a day and more hazardous than obesity. It directly correlates with cognitive decline, dementia, and systemic inflammation. The striver's curse often includes loneliness at the top, a direct result of seeing relationships as networks rather than bonds. By moving to the second curve, you invest in the root system of family, friends, and community. You trade the brittle, standalone monument of your solo achievement for the resilient, interconnected strength of a forest. Ultimately, moving from strength to strength is an invitation to an adventure far richer than the first. It requires evolving from a fixed mindset, I am what I achieve, to a growth mindset, I become through what I share. It asks you to trade the exhausting pursuit of being special for the profound joy of being useful. Think of this transition not as the sun setting on your career, but as the moment the harsh, clarifying glare of noon softens into the golden hour. The light is less intense, yes, but it is warmer. The shadows are longer, revealing contours of the landscape you never noticed in the brightness of day. The colors are richer, deeper, more nuanced. In this light, you are no longer just a climber on a bare rock face. You have descended into a sacred grove, where your role is to tend the soil, nurture the saplings, and share the maps you drew on your way up the mountain. By letting go of who you were, you finally become who you were meant to be, not a survivor of the curse, but a master of a deeper, more resonant and enduring form of happiness. Subscribe to ReadSmart for deeper insights on success, happiness, and the second half of life.